you can create an AWS account, but you need to have a credit card with you. And yeah, please use the free tier if you are not sure what you are doing. All the options they'll prompt you for the kind of service, and the charges can be quite shocking if you are not too sure what service you have been using. So try to explore it with free tier products, so that it's not chargeable to your account, but of course there are some limitation. So I will go into how to set up the account. Just follow the steps, and eventually you can sign to your account. For me, I'm using the root account. Of course, you can create your IM account, but as a beginner, I think we'll use the root account. After you log into the Amazon, in this search bar, type in Lex and click on Amazon Lex, which is a chatbot service from Amazon. By default, it's actually, or maybe on the console, its default is version 2. Okay, for mine, because I used version 2 and version 1 before, so I have to change back to version 2. Okay, so currently I already have some chatbot created before, so I will create another bot and create a blank bot. So we have to put a name here. Let's call this weather 2. Maybe just weather bot. Let's call this bot weather. Okay, and IM permission. IM is the, okay, let's look for what is IM permission. It stands for the identity and access management. So basically it's for the permission that you create a user and what kind of permission you allow for this user. So I'll click this, create a role, and basically Amazon Lex permission. Of course, if let's say you have created the permission before, you can use the existing one. If let's say the roles will be very similar. Okay, so I will create a new permission, and Children Online Privacy Protection Act, click no. Idle sessions will fix to 5, using the default 5 minutes, and click on next. Okay, the rest will use the default, but for the voice, we're not going to use voice, so I will select no, this is only for text application. Okay, and then done. So the bot has been created, but we need to create answers and questions. Okay, so the first step is we have to create a new intent name. Intent refers to the response that will return back to the chatbot user. Okay, so we create a name. Let's call this find weather. Okay, and utterances refers to the phrases that the user will question, and will return back the same intent. So this is the intent is something like answers, and the utterances are the questions that will lead to the answers or the intent. Okay, so let's say my question is, how is the weather sorry, I should enter here. How is the weather? Okay, add utterances. Okay, please note that this all the example here will be very similar and is based on the this video from the Nia Academy. Okay, but of course this is based on the Lex version 2, which is slightly different. And maybe we can have okay, just fix to one question first, or utterances. Okay, slots are referred to the questions that we will ask in between questions. Okay, so let's say if the user asks how is the weather, and then the chatbot will ask further queries so that we can get more information from the user, and will get the correct response back. So for this case, we might need to get the city, the weather for which city. So we call this city, and the slot type will be using the default one. You can create your own slots, slot type, but now we're going to use Amazon city, and the prompt is which city are you which city are you in? Okay, and then we add. Okay, so we have one slot. So in fact, for the utterances, for the intents, we can also add in one questions. How is the weather in? If we put a bracket here, this is like a variable, okay, from the slots. So if the user key in how is the weather in let's say Kuala Lumpur, and then the chatbot will reply back the intent, the answers in full. If not, if the user did not specify the city, then the chatbot will ask further questions. Which city are you in? And then after the user key in the city, and then the final answer will be responded back to the user. Okay. By default, the confirmation prompt is after everything has been confirmed, then we'll send back the message. But I'm not going to use the message here, so I'm going to deactivate. So I go straight to use the Lambda function. Okay, so under the fulfillment means that all the questions or the required parameters or the required information from the user has been gathered, and then I will send in, I return back the final response to the user, and then we'll stop the intent. So for this case, on successful fulfillment, I'm not going to have any message here, but we're going to use a Lambda function. So Lambda function is something like a program that to handle the final response. So you can write it in separate file instead of using the default messages. Okay, and then click on the update options. And also we're not going to use the closing response. And save intent. Okay. We can build the chatbot now, but it won't work because we do not have the Lambda function. So let me build first. I'll show you what I mean. It takes a few minutes for the system to build in the backend. Okay, the build has been completed. Now there's a test button here for us to test the chatbot. Okay, click on this and you can type in the message. Let's say, how is the weather? Okay, Yeah, it's asking for a Lambda function because we don't have one, so it won't work. Over here, you see the setting icon. Click on that. We got to choose our Lambda function from the source, and we do not have one. I've created one before, but I'm going to create another Lambda functions, and so they know how it works. Okay, so the chatbot, how it works is that this chatbot, when I type in how is the weather, then the chatbot will ask for which city. Okay, the which city actually is prompt for more information, so that it can send this queries to external website. Okay, external website where we buy back the weather. We do not have the facilities for checking the weather, so we have to use some website that have the API for us to call for the data, and it returns to this chatbot and display the message here. Okay, so the external website we're going to use is weather, open weather map.org. I think, is it correct? Weather map, yeah. Okay. In order to use their service, we need to create an account. Okay, do not worry, this is a free, we're going to use their free service, and you can just I've already logged in. So what you can do is you can create an account. Okay, fill in your things, and after you create an account, then you log in. Okay, once you get in, you need to get the API key. Okay, with the API key, then you can access the website to get the weather from this website. So click on the API, and you can scroll down. You go to your account and my API key, and you can generate as many as you want. Okay, and the key is important because you got to use the key to get the information, the weather information from this website. So how are we going to use, how are we going to call for the weather information? You can go to the documentations. Okay, click on API, and you scroll down. You'll see API documentation. So we're going to get the current weather data, and we call by CD name. Okay, CD name. So click on this. They will tell you how to call. So what we can do, we can just copy and paste into a web browser, and see the CD name. We can enter any city name, let's say Kuala Lumpur. And the API key is the key that you get it from your account. Okay, so you can copy and paste it here. Okay, and then they will return you all the information. But you notice that the unit may not be what you want. So for my case, I want it to be displayed in metrics. Okay, in metric. So I will enter over here. Okay, so I'll add in another parameters, the unit. We try again. So ampersand units equals to metric. Okay, metric, and the information will be in degrees Celsius, and the humidity in the percentage, and so on. Okay, so all these are in JSON format. Okay, so now we are going to create our Lambda functions. Okay, so I open my terminal. Okay, please note that I'm using Linux, but you can use any system like Windows or Mac. They are all can work. Okay, so I'm going to create chatbot directory. Test chat. Okay, right now it's empty. Okay, it's empty, nothing here. So before I for convenience, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the serverless method, which means that I do not need to key in the code in the AWS. I can do the Lambda function in the AWS. Let me see. You go to the Lambda function and AWS and type in Lambda. Okay, and then from here you can create your own Lambda functions. So what I'm doing is that instead of going to this website, logging to AWS and going to this website or this page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the serverless method, which is for convenience. Okay, so that you have a local, you create your file, the API is in Node.js. I'm going to use a Node.js to create the API for the Lambda, and then I upload to the AWS through the serverless application without logging into the AWS and go to the Lambda page. Okay, so to do that, first we need to install the AWS CLI, which is the command line interface. So we can go to the website. Okay, and just key in this is AWS CLI install. Okay, install. Installing or updating the latest version of the AWS CLI. Click on that, and choose your operating system. So I'm going to use Linux, and I'm using the 64-bit Linux. So I just need to, because I've already installed, so I just show you what I can do. Is first I have to download it to a location. Let's say this is okay, so I'm going to download here, so I just use the C URL. Okay, and just download this file, AWS CLI v2. You download in the download folder. Okay, and then I will do the second command is unzip. Okay, unzip it. After I unzip already, then I'll just do an install. Okay, then the AWS CLI will be installed. After install, then you can check whether is it working. So that by typing AWS -- version. Okay, so it show you that it's running 2.4.6 version. Okay, I'm going to shift out a little bit so that you can see the top and the bottom. Okay, so after that, then we'll go back to the folder. Okay, and right now it's empty, so we got to install the serverless. Okay, over here, so it's serverless.com framework documents providers AWS guide installation. You can follow this page to download. So first you have to install the Node.js, which is what I did, and then install the serverless framework by just typing the npm install -g serverless. Okay, so I've done that. For my case, I have to use the sudo because this needs administration rights. So I just show you how I did it. It takes a while, about 2 to 5 minutes. After you finish the installation, make sure there's no error, and then you can follow the next page for the AWS credential. Okay, this one is actually asking you to create a AWS account, and then you're going to use the IM user. So we're going to create a IM user. Okay, while installing, we go to the AWS, and in the search bar we type in IM. Okay, so under the user, you're going to create a user. Let's call this add user. Any name will do. Say Lex test. Okay, and then make sure that you click on the access key, programmatic access, which means that you're going to do the programming on your local machine and upload the program while using serverless. Then we have to select the permission. So instead of using the group, okay, so I just attach existing policy. So as a new user, what I'll do is that I will select the administration rights, which is full rights to everything. If let's say you know what you are doing, what you need, you can select only the certain policy. Policy refers to the rights. So for this case, I'll only need the Lex and the Lambda. But for our case, I will choose the administrator rights and click next. Tag, leave it blank, and then review. Okay, make sure that it's administrator rights. Okay, and then create user. So we are using a Lex test. Create user. And we can you'll be given the access key and the secret key. So this will be shown only one time. So make sure that you copy down this onto your desktop and keep it somewhere. Once you're lost, then you have to create another user again. So what I'll do is that I download the CBS. Okay, but for this case, I just need to use this and this. So I leave this window open. Okay, after that, now we have completed the user IM, and what we're going to do is we're going to configure. Okay, configure by using setup with AWS CLI. Okay, so go back to your console again, and so everything is successful. So you can test whether serverless is working by typing serverless version. Okay, so something will come back. Okay, so I'll configure it by typing AWS configure. Okay, configure. Okay, so because I have created the configured the AWS before, so I'll just but for your case you have to enter, okay, your keys over here. You will not display any words that you display. Okay, so just key in your access key from your AWS, the IAM user access key and the secret key. Okay, copy this and paste it here. Okay, the region is very important. For my case is AP Southeast -1. This is where I created the legs. Okay, so I go back to my legs again. This is my legs. Okay. Switch to version 2. Okay. Okay, notice my version is in AP Southeast 1. Okay, so it depends on your region. Let's say you are in the US East 1, US East 2, then you have to key in the correct region name here. Okay, so mine is AP Southeast 1, and the default output format will be in JSON. Okay, and enter. So you have configure to your desktop. After configure, then we have to create the serverless template, okay, in this folder. So make sure that you're in the correct folder, and you key in serverless, create template AWS dash Node.js, because we are using the Node.js. Okay. Okay, so several files are created for you. First, we have to configure the serverless YML. Okay, so you can use any editor. I'm using the Vim. Okay, those in comments we can remove. Okay, we'll leave the service name here. Okay, framework remains, and this we can remove. Okay, so the region here is also important. We have to specify the correct region. So for my case is a AP dash Southeast -1. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, all this don't need, and until you see the function. Okay, the rest you can all delete away. So the handler name, we'll call this weatherbot. And the function is also called the weatherbot or bot weather. Okay, they are the same. Okay. Okay, save the file. Okay, and one more thing. The runtime Node.js, we're going to use the default from my AWS, which is the version, let me think, version 14. Yeah, so we're going to use the 14. Okay, save it. Okay, now we can create okay, now we can do our handler. Okay, okay, this is default, but we export the name is weatherbot. So we created weatherbot. Make sure the name is correct. Okay, we don't need this. We'll create everything from raw. Okay, so this is the part that is different between the version 1 and version 2. and it can be quite difficult to find the information, so I'm going to go through it with you. Okay, this is the API, or the will be put in the Lambda function. Okay. So what we're going to create now first is we have to get the data from, let me make this slightly bigger, get from the is it this one? Yeah, the weather. So just now I mentioned to you, we can just use copy this down. I think I've removed it already. So I create another one. So go to API and scroll down and look for a current weather data, how to call. Okay, and we just copy the whole thing here. Okay, get the API, and we just get this URL. So we call this const URL equals to the API key. We need the API key. Equals to, okay, make it okay, I'm not sure whether I can see it clearly. Minimize. Okay, so this will be sent over to the internet, so we are going to use a library called the Axios, which is a way of sending a URL, actually it's an API URL, and get the response from the web page. If you want to run it, you have to install it on. Okay, so once we have the library, so we'll return some of the things. So okay, put here response equals to await. You wait for the data. Axios dot get, and we put a URL in. Okay. Once we get the response, so we have the data. Just put the data. Data equals to response dot data. Okay. Then we have to reply back to our lex from this Lambda function. So the reply will be answer equals to the temperature is, okay, and then we have to put in the is data. Okay, this comes from the temperature. Okay, let's look at the temperature. Temperature is from the main temp, so data main temp. Okay, and then it's in degrees C. Okay, in C, and humidity is, so this will be the data dot main dot humidity. Let's check here again. Mean humidity. Okay, this is in percentage. So this is in percentage, and okay, and data dot weather. Here we are going to get weather information, so it's from weather, 0, and description, few clouds. Okay, and this is the 0 dot description is expected. Okay, and let me check any mistake here. So this is a sentence that we're going to send return back from the Lambda function to the Lex, to chatbot. So we'll return the temperature is the temperature getting from the data from the response from API website, and humidity is data main.humidity in percentage, and data weather description is expected. Okay, should be correct. Okay, so we have to return back to the chatbot. We have to return something. Okay, this is the format that is very critical, otherwise it will not work. And also this event is the input from the Lex, which is okay, let me refer back to the Lex again. So in the Lex, weather, bot weather, okay, bot weather, and if you go to the intent and when we test, we have a slot here. Let me zoom in again. Find weather. Okay, the intent and the utterance is how is the weather. I think I forgot something. The intent, how is the weather in city. Okay, we have to add the utterances. So this city, if we don't put the city name, we just ask how is the weather, and you prompt us for which city are you in. Okay, once we key in the city, before we respond the final answer, the city will be stored temporarily in the Lex, in the city. Okay, in the city, and this will send to the Lambda function. Okay, then our Lambda function, which will be stored in the event. Okay, so in this event, we have to get the city name from the Lex. So how do we get? Constant city equals to event. So we have to get it from somewhere. So we have to refer to the Lex version 2, the what do you call that? The input and response format. Okay, so how do we find the format? You can just type it in the internet. So AWS Lex 2 response format. Okay, so we click on the documents and we can scroll down. This are the formats. So we got two. One is the input event format, and we have the response format. So what are the differences? The main difference is the input event is from the Lex to the Lambda function, and the response format is from the Lambda function back to the Lex. So we have to get the information of the slots or the city. The user enter which city, that is the slots. Okay, and then it will be stored inside the city as what we have created just now, the city, and this is the slots. Okay, city. So the name is very important. So we get the event input. There are several ways that we can get from what I see is we need to get the slots. Okay, slots can be found in the interpretations and also in the session states. So I'm going to get the information from the session state and in the intent and slots and the slots name and the original value. Okay, so which means, let me put smaller first, which means that in the event I get it from where is it again? Session state, okay, and session state and intent, okay, and then we get it from slots and then the value and original value. Okay, the value for this case, it's not value but the city. Okay, the city. Why city? Because the slot's name is called city. Okay, so we'll get the city name. We get the city name from the event. Okay, and we put the city name into here in the API call. So how do we put this? Should be a string. So URL is a string until here, and then it's a city, and the API key. Okay, so this whole URL will be put in, let me say first, this whole URL will put inside the Axios library, the functions, and the information, the weather information will be returned back to the response, and then we get the data, the response, and we get the temperature, the humidity, and the weather descriptions, and these are the return response. But now we get the slots value from event. Now we need to return the response in the format that the version 2 requires. So this is also different from the version Alex version 1. Let's go back to the version 2 format again. We scroll down to the response format. Okay, so this is very important. So we have to follow. It's quite daunting because it's quite long, but we'll only send the minimum. So we look at the below information. So note the following additional information about the response field. So there's a few things that it's required. The session states. Okay, session states, it's over here. This field is important, it's needed. Okay, but of course inside may not be needed. Like active context session attributes is not needed, but inside the session state there's a dialog action. This is needed. It's over here. The dialog action is to is what the Lambda is going to do, the action. So there's a few types. One is to close. Close means that the intent has already found, we have already found the intent and the response, so the user do not need to key any more slots or any parameters that we need. No more already, we just close it. Okay, confirm intent is there's a selection for the user to see whether our response fulfill the intent, and then the user will have to select yes or no. Delegate, I'm not too sure, but illicit intent is we have to continue the intent, and illicit slots is that the response is part of the slots, so the users have to keep on entering more values, okay, more questions we ask. Okay, so for this case will be the final answers. So is to fulfill the intent. Okay, so fulfill the intent, so we're going to use the close. But once we use close, if something's missing here, is that we have to state the state. Okay, the state is fulfill. There's a few types of state. It's fulfill, ready for fulfillment, and so on. Okay, but before that, we have to create the intent. If we use the dialog type, if we use the delegate or the illicit intent, then this intent is not required, so this field may not be required. But we are using the close, so intent has to be included, and then we have to state the name of the intent. Okay, the slots slot is not necessary, but one missing value here is state. Okay, the state actually should not be here, but inside the intent. Okay, inside the intent. So I think there's some mistake, or I'm not too sure whether it's miss out anything. But I try out and then find that actually the state should be inside the intent. And then finally the message. The message is the one that we're going to send from the Lambda back to the Lex. Okay, so how do we write this? So by mind, we need the session state, dialog action, intent, state, and message. Okay, in the message we need the content type, content, image response card, no need. Okay, so we just do the minimum. So now we go back to our code. So like I say, we need the session state, so I will refer to here. So return, am I here? Okay, returned. Are we returning? We are returning the JSON format, which is session state okay. In a session state we have the dialog action. Okay, dialog action. So we have the dialog action. In a dialog action, we need to put in the type. The slot illicit, because we are not using the slot illicit. Let me show you again. Okay, in the type we have a few ways: close, confirm, intent, delegate, illicit intent, and illicit slots. So we are not using the illicit slot, so slots to illicit is not needed. Slot illicit style also not needed, so we just need this close. Okay, so this would be type type close. Okay, so now after the dialog we need the intent. Okay, intent. So back to here again, intent, dialog action, now intent. So for the intent, Okay. We're going to put in the names. Okay, the intent, the name is important. Confirmation state is not needed as stated below, so name. Okay, of course you can put in if you want it to. The name of the intent is, we have to follow the intent name, which is find weather. Okay, find weather. Okay, find weather. And this is important, it's the state. Okay, so for our case, since we are closing, so it's a fulfillment, so it's a fulfill. Okay, it's fulfilled. Okay, then the next one is we'll go back to the format again. Okay, after this is required, and then we have to reply back from the Lambda to the Lex. So this will be the message. Okay, the message is in line with the session state. Okay, so this is the messages. Okay, so messages. Where is okay, so over here, message, yes. Okay, messages would be, we're going to follow the format over here, so we can just copy the whole thing until closing. Okay. Let me see. Some of the things are needed but not all. So the content type will be plain text. Okay, plain text, just a text alone. And the content is the reply, which is a string. Okay, plain text, and this will actually be the answer here. Okay, so it will be the answer, and then the rest we do not need. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, you can add in a catch here. Okay, over here. So let's see. So we can try. Let's see, where should I put this? Okay. And catch any errors here. So the errors will be displayed in the console, if any. Okay, then I'll save it. Okay, I'm not too sure whether there's any mistake here. Okay, this one I don't need a comma. Let's see. Okay, I might have some mistake here and there, but let's try it out first. Okay, so how do we upload to the AWS? So we use a serverless deploy. Make sure there's no error. It takes a handler or image probably needs to be set on function weather-bot. Okay, so we look at the then we look at the handler. Okay, so it should be weather-bot. Okay, try again. Okay, I think it's in the serverless. Yeah, handler. Okay, there's a spelling mistake here. It should be a small letter. Okay, now it should work. Okay, now it's done. So let's look at once it's done, it means that the code has been uploaded to the AWS. So so we can check by logging into AWS and look for the Lambda. Okay. And in Lambda you should have weather-bot. Test chat development weather-bot. Okay, so we will be able to see the code here. There's some errors message. Okay, we're missing a bracket over here. You make some adjustment. Missing one comma. Okay, I'll add one more thing here. Needs equals to metric. Okay, URL, and then you get the data from here. Okay, most likely the errors come from here. Let's check the session state. Dialog Action. The spelling. Okay, the spelling is wrong. Intent. Name is find weather. State is fulfilled. Let me check the name. Is it find weather? The intent. Make sure the intent is correct. Find weather. Yeah. It's a capital letter I. So I make some mistake here. So I got to change this to capital letter I as well. Okay. Forget to do the npm init. Okay. Okay, and yes, okay, and npm install. I need to install Axios. Okay, so we check the package. So we have installed the package. Okay, let's do the serverless update again. But before that, I need to update the handler so that both will have the same same code. Okay, so serverless deploy. Okay, we can go back to the Lex and see whether there's an update here. Yeah, should be correct now. Deploy again, and then okay, now it's working. Okay, so this is basically how the Lambda work. The main purpose for this video is to write the correct format for the Lex version 2, which I could not get a lot of example or tutorials that help me to do the project. So hopefully this hopefully this will help you. Okay, in the next video I'll be doing how to deploy this chatbot into a website. Okay.